Hello and welcome everyone to the next Foreman Deep Dive. Gilvin here as always. Sorry about the week's delay in bringing you this deep dive due to the wonderful vagaries of life that do tend to get in the way from time to time. I was not able to host this last week. But here we are. We're ready to go finally. So hopefully a whole extra week of waiting has really upped your appetite for this. So I'm gonna jump straight in. There's not a lot to say. We get asked a lot. When I go to conferences, we get asked a lot about the word monitoring. We have monitoring on the front page of our website. Not something I personally agree with. I think we should have reporting on the front of our website because reporting is what we do. But there are really good monitoring projects out there, and Icinga is obviously one of those. And so I'm very, very happy to bring you two very good people to talk about the integration between Foreman and Icinga. And so without any further whittering on from me, I'm going to introduce Timo and Dirk, who are going to tell us all about what they've been working on. So guys, do you want to introduce yourself? Timo.
Yeah, hi, I'm Timo, working for a German retailer, and started to develop a monitoring integration for Foreman with Icinga 2.
Cool. And Dirk?
My name is Dirk. I work for NetWays, the company mainly behind Icinga. Although it is a community project at all. And we are working with Timo for the monitoring project and also for the Foreman project. So we joined our effort to create some integration.
Super. All right, well, I'll switch the video feed over to Timo and you can show us what you've been working on.
Yeah, basically, what I'd like to start with is the Icinga 2, or the Icinga Web 2 UI. This is basically the UI where you kind of interact with the Icinga monitoring system. And right now, what we have here is a host called Kim. Yeah, it's called the host Kim. Which we monitor with the simple ping check. And Dirk, do you want to continue?
I'm not sure how much to say about Icinga. So Icinga Web 2, as Timo said, is a web front end, and the back end it is using Icinga 2. So it's a fork from Nagios with Icinga 1, and then the developers decided, okay, now we have if not enough experience to do it better, and this is how they created Icinga 2. It provides internal clustering, database support, supporting many backends, and with version 2.4 it also got an API where you can send commands at host objects, service objects, and so on. And this is how we said, okay, let's integrate Foreman with Icinga 2. So the first thing I think we wanted to show is provider Icinga 2 for this Foreman monitoring integration. And this is mainly using the API. So for the front end, I think Timo can say the most about. For the SmartProxy, it is simply another plugin you install, and for the plugin, you have to configure the API on the Icinga side and give this information to the SmartProxy plugin, and then it can connect as an API user to Icinga 2, and then can manage hosts. And for the authentication, we provide both possibilities. So it can simply use password authentication if you are fine with this, or if you have some higher security requirements, you can also use certificate-based authentication from the SmartProxy to Icinga 2.
Okay, so thanks, Dirk. I think enough teasing our viewers. What I'd like to show is, on the Foreman UI, where you have the Kim host.
So if I can jump in for 2 seconds, I just remembered to remind people that deep dives are interactive. So if you do want to ask questions as we go, please do. I'm monitoring both the YouTube chat and the IRC, and I can relay questions to people. So if there's anything you see that you're interested in or you don't quite get, do jump in and ask, and we'll try and answer those questions for you. Sorry, Timo, it seemed like a good point to jump in.
Okay. So when you view a host, I think the first two noticeable differences are that you kind of right now have a monitoring tab listed in the host view page, where you can see the actual status of the host as Icinga reports it. So right now we have a host check which is okay, and a simple ping check which is also fine. And then you have the possibility to actually schedule a downtime for the host. So we could, I don't know, use a comment, say, okay, we want to start the downtime in, I don't know, like, in a minute. And the development environment is always a little slow, so on a production environment, that would be faster. Right now, we would see that the Foreman user admin user has created a downtime in Foreman, which now shows up in the Icinga UI for that host. So that's one feature.
Yeah, and you forgot global status. You can also see. No, in the Foreman UI, where it shows detailed.
And I think I'd have to reload this, but you would now see that the host is actually in a downtime. What we can also do is we can add hosts from Foreman to our monitoring solution. And when you create a new host or edit it, you can kind of set a monitoring proxy. So you can say which smart proxy should be triggered to add the host to the monitoring solution. I just cloned this one. It's basically just a default host. So I click submit here. It would create the monitoring object in the monitoring system, and as you can see here, we now have a pending new host in Icinga 2. Can even force the check. So we actually should see that, host check is now successful. And that should also be visible here if we reload the page. Yeah. So host check okay, ping check okay. What you also see is that we have a new host status, monitoring status, which is also okay. If we would actually submit an error in the check, that check would turn yellow or red. Okay. Anything to add there, Dirk?
No. We could explain how the ping check is coming to this.
I was just about to ask that. How does it know what checks to add there?
So Icinga 2 is primarily using a rule-based configuration. So typically you don't add an host, and for this host every single service as an object. You can do so. This was an old way you are used to do with Nagios or with Icinga 1. But with Icinga 2, you typically create some rules. So typically it's an apply for or an apply statement, and will use some assign where And this assign where in this case is based on the address. So this is how it creates a ping check, but you can use every attribute of this system. So every basic object attribute like the names, like the address, but
Right.
also.
So this is a little bit like the smart matches in the class params on the Foreman side, right?
Yes.
So you're basically saying where host is star, put a ping check in, and that's picking that up. Right, cool. That makes sense.
And we also send some custom variables to Foreman to increase these possibilities. So we send the architecture, the operating system, the group information, location, organization, also if it is some virtual system, and then the provider, so bare metal, because this is not a virtual system. In the other cases, it would be VMware or something like that. We also send the owner and the comment. I think this was a comment you add to the host in Foreman.
Yeah, actually, I think we can show that. So when you edit a host and under the additional information tab, which will hopefully present itself soon.
So we decided to use most common, most used parameters, attributes in Foreman and send it to Icinga, because we had not enough time to get this as a GUI element, and you decide what to send. So with some basic attributes, you can do most, I think.
That's fine for version 1, right?
We named it 010, so we said, okay, don't do one.
I do think that's valid, though. I mean, you look at what we put in the ENC, and it's the same thing, right? We list a whole bunch of stuff that goes to the ENC, and it's been enough for most people.
Yeah. As a fair warning, this is still pretty beta everything. We haven't really run this in a huge production setup, and we don't know if it scales well, performance wise. It should, but you never know until you try it. Yeah, basically that's all. You can create a host, you can delete a host, and you can update it in the settings tab. You also have the possibility to actually decide what should happen when a host is created, when a host is deleted, or when it is updated. So, well, actually, you can't say what should happen when it is updated, but you can choose a create action, which would just just create a host object in your monitoring solution, or nothing if you don't want to do that. If you use some other way to put your hosts into the monitoring solution, or when you delete a host, you can decide whether you want to do nothing, whether you want to delete the host in the monitoring system, or whether you just want to set a downtime for the host in the monitoring solution because you use some other way to delete the host in the monitoring provider. Okay. So if you want to set that stuff up, basically what you need to do is you need to install a plugin for Foreman Core, for the Foreman UI application, and you need to install a plugin for your SmartProxy. And that would be an example config. You can decide whether the SmartProxy plugin should be enabled or not. You can decide which provider should be used for monitoring. What we've shown is the Icinga 2 plugin. We also have a plugin for Icinga Director. Dirk, do you want to explain what the director is all about?
I can do so. So you have seen this integration with Icinga 2. So this is basically only doing with the API, and you cannot interact more with it. So you have to create your rules on the command line and so on. We also have this Icinga director. It's a web-based, so it's integrated in Icinga Web 2. It's a module for it, and it adds some GUI to configure all this stuff. So it's working nearly the same way. You create your hosts in the director, and then it's sending this as a config package to the API, and will run everything in this way. We also created this integration because the director has also an API, so you can send host objects to this GUI, then manage them in this GUI, add everything there, and then deploy your configuration. So the director also provides some tools like some integration for automation, like importing from an SQL database, LDAP directory, from PuppetDB with another module from files. If you have Foreman as your central system for administration, it would be fine if Foreman is creating these objects in the director, and then you can manage them there.
Yeah, and what you would do then is to actually configure the director to deploy the configuration to Icinga to like every 5 minutes or something like that. So just periodically, and that's that way you kind of achieve the same thing. When you create a host in Foreman, it eventually shows up in your monitoring solution.
So it's really up to you when you want to deploy. So you can add this like every 5 minutes, or you can also do this every 5 minutes, but only during my working hours or something like that. This is also fine. But yes, this is in the director, in the integration, nothing special to Foreman.
Yeah. If you want to actually use the director, what you would have to do is actually enable both the Icinga 2 plugin and the Icinga director plugin for SmartProxy. That's because the Icinga 2 plugin is still used to set downtimes, for example, for hosts. And the Icinga director plugin just overrides the create action or the delete action of a host.
And also the gathering of the status information is still done by a Icinga 2 API. So the director is only the configuration front end.
Yeah. What you see here is actually the log of the SmartProxy. So you can see that we kind of have updated the PAM system which we created earlier. Now stop this and restart it to activate the director integration. You can see here that the SmartProxy actually connects to an event monitoring API on the provided by Icinga 2. So whenever a status of a host or of a service check changes, we can kind of subscribe to an event from this monitoring API and then inform Foreman to update the host state inside of Foreman. So what we do is kind of we run an initial import to get all the data and put that to Foreman. And when the initial import is done, we kind of subscribe to that event API and just update the state in Foreman as we go.
Yeah, so it's really getting live this information, not by polling every 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so if you go back to Foreman and create a new host, that should now turn up in the director. I think I'll just clone the PAM system. Yeah, let's give it a name and a MAC address. Make sure the monitoring proxy is selected.
Yeah, you lost the name during the interface.
Yeah. Yeah, now we see the John system here appearing in Icinga director.
As a custom variables, you only see if you create some fields for this, so it will only be created but not be visible on the host tab as long as you do not provide fields for this. But yeah, it will create all the fields you have seen with the Icinga 2 integration, so it's working the same way.
Yeah. So I could now deploy that configuration, render config, deploy changes. No, that went well, and we now see the new host that was created via the director API appearing in the Icinga 2 form. If we delete the host again, I guess that'll be no surprise. It gets deleted from director. You can't see it here, and if we deploy that again, render config, deploy one pending change.
And if you just show the activity log, you can really see every change. So you can see it was created, it was deleted, and if we had modified it, it would also be this green spanner.
Yeah, so basically that's kind of the main functionality which we wanted to show.
Cool. This is awesome. I mean, yeah, I kind of got a ton of stuff going around in my head, and I'm not entirely sure even where to start with some of it. So, what's the roadmap? What would you like to do? What else do you think you would want to do with this?
Well, actually, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So basically, on my roadmap is of course a SmartProxy plugin. So in this case, I think for Icinga 2, for the Icinga directory, mainly provide everything we need, but we can really easily expand this for other tools. So if you look at GitHub, I also tried to collect at the last monitoring conference how we can do this for Zabbix. So I have some pretty good ideas. Perhaps I need someone to sponsor this or some time for this, someone really interested in to step up for it. But this would be the main thing I want to add for the SmartProxy. And yeah, of course, we want to fix bugs and everything else.
There's never any bugs in the production code, right?
No.
No, that's fair. That's cool. I mean, it makes sense, right? Particularly if you're going down the smart proxy line, there's a reason we have providers in proxy plugins, right? So That makes a ton of sense. There was something else.
Yeah. Also, for OpenNMS, I think it would work fine. I have some basic ideas that this should work because it also is providing an API. And yeah, let's see where people come from with their monitoring projects and want to have some integration.
Of course. There was another idea that came to mind about halfway through, and I forgot to write it down, and now I can't remember what the heck it was. Something occurred to me, and I don't remember what it was. No, it's gone. Okay. Well, guys, if you've got any questions, now is a really good time to ask them because it looks like we're starting to wrap up. This is packaged.
Yeah, it is actually. We're still working, or well, there's a pull request for the installer integration. I think it'll probably make it into 1.16 with the latest changes that include the Icinga director. There's integration for just the Icinga 2 plugin with the Foreman 1.15 installer, and 1.15 is like about to be released in the next weeks, I think.
Yeah, we're at RC2, so yeah, it's not far away.
Yeah, and it has been packaged for RPM-based systems. So if somebody wants to volunteer and do it for Debian, it shouldn't be too hard.
Sure. I remember what my question was. It's a slightly sneaky one, so I apologize. Obviously, with going to 1.15, we have the notifications UI in 1.15. Are you planning to make use of that in some way?
Actually, we haven't talked about that. I'm still personally quite. I'm still undecided whether we are kind of overwhelming users just by notifying everything. So
Yes.
Personally, I'd like to keep it small and just inform user via the former notifications if there are any special actions that are actually important.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you can overdo notifications. You can make it too much. It's I guess in the UK we would say it's the boy who cried wolf, right? If you get too many notifications, you stop listening. So I agree with that entirely. But it does seem like potentially things, particularly going to critical state, might be something you wanted to flag up and just go. You probably want to go and look at your Icinga dashboard right now.
Yeah, but I think Timo has also some ideas what to add to the UI. One of the things would be perhaps notification. Other things you have seen we have to reload for getting the status, so the detailed status of the monitoring integration updated. This is something we could add, perhaps some GUI element to send additional attributes to the monitoring system and so on. But it's really depending on what people want.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear some user feedback. If anybody is interested in this or is even considering to using this, and I'd really be interested in what's missing. Is it a good idea what we did? So just file issues on the GitHub pages for now. That would be awesome.
And by all means, feed me press releases. I'm happy to put things on the blog or to tweet things, to retweet things. Fire stuff at me, and we'll try and get the word out there, because I think this is a lot of good work has gone into this, and I think people should see it and try and make use of it. So by all means, make use of me for that. I'm quite happy to help. All right. Well, unless you have any closing words to add, I think we're mostly done. Anything you want to finish up with?
No. Perhaps, are there any questions left?
No, I would have called them out if there were. I see it's fairly quiet. I've had a couple of people just saying they're watching. We've had a fair number of viewers, sort of similar to a community demo. So that's nice to see that we're getting people watching. But they all seem pretty happy with what you've presented, because I'm not seeing any questions anywhere. So I guess that's pretty much us. So thanks very much to Dirk and Timo for coming on and showing us what they've been working on, and for the work itself. It's pretty awesome, I have to admit. Really, I mean, I've been saying this for quite a long time that we should we as a project should step back a little bit from the word monitoring and say the monitoring is done by other people better, and we should integrate with it. And this is absolutely the right direction as far as I'm concerned. So it's lovely to see that happening. So thank you guys very much for your time and for your effort. To everyone watching, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do check out the project. We'll get some announcements out. Maybe we can send something to the mailing list where you can find it. I'll put some links in the YouTube show notes as well. You can find us in all the usual places: YouTube, Twitter, mailing lists. You guys know all that stuff already, your regular watchers, I'm sure. But for now, thanks for watching. Do take care.